Hi everyone, welcome to the muster drill. I'm Scott, and stick around to find out who's to blame, the cruise line or the passengers. Hi everyone, welcome back. So before I get started today, I just wanted to say happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone and to thank everyone for the support that they've shown our channel over the last year. We really appreciate it. Okay, so on with today's episode. So by now, most people know that, or have heard or read that there were 44 cases on the Symphony of the Seas on its last sailing, and that made up basically less than 1% of the total population of the people who were on board. And in my opinion, I think that, there were a couple of aspects about this entire situation that I think are being overlooked by a lot of people. I wanted to narrow in specifically on these two specific situations that were reported over the last week on board the Symphony. One was about one of the passengers who had basically played into the narrative that Royal Caribbean is overwhelmed and doesn't know what they're doing, and that they did a horrible job of taking care of him and other people who were in a group that he was part of. I think there were about 12 people in that group. And it turns out one of the members of that group ended up being, according to this person, Connor Odell, this person was a 66-year-old woman who was the aunt of somebody in the group or whatever, and this person ended up being, according to him, very symptomatic. So they're very symptomatic, and I guess they reported it to the medical center, and the medical center tested her, and she was positive, and they quarantined her. But according to Connor Odell, he was in close contact with this person, and that the cruise line never told him that he needed to quarantine. And so that really brings up a question for me. and that question is, if you know that you've been in close contact with somebody who, according to you, was very symptomatic, and that they tested positive, and that the cruise line was telling them to quarantine, and you were roaming around the ship, because you say that the cruise line told you that you could, or that they didn't tell you that you couldn't. Okay, so who's really to blame here? Is it the cruise line that's to blame, or is it Connor Odell to blame because Connor Odell knows he's been in close proximity to somebody who's, quote, very symptomatic and is being quarantined, but yet he's not quarantining himself because he said that it's actually the cruise line's fault for not telling him to do it? And that's the kind of stuff that really upsets me about it. So I had done video after video about this, where I'd given a bunch of cruise passengers very early on in the restart the gold star, right? Because when they felt bad or whatever, they went to the medical center and they didn't try to cover it up or anything else. So I really asked myself, and I would ask you, you can leave me a comment below about it. Who's really to blame here? Is it Royal Caribbean, or is it that passenger? So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that really upsets me about it. And then, I want to move on to yet another passenger on this ship, and her name is Alicia D'Amico or something like that or whatever, right? Alicia D'Amico. So Alicia is also a passenger on this ship, and she, I think the article goes on to talk about how she has lupus, and very early on in the cruise, she felt that she, just didn't feel right or whatever. So She says she tried contacting the cruise line. Now, when I was on the Mariner, I noticed there was a slip of papers, all the stuff that you find on your first day when you get into your cabin. There was quite a few things, and one of them was a slip of paper talking about COVID, reporting COVID symptoms specifically. It was a special number. You picked up the phone, you dialed 51, and that got you straight into the medical center. So Alicia D'Amico says that she spent days trying to reach the medical center because she just knew that she didn't feel well. And that when she finally reached a nurse in the medical center, the nurse told her that, she could see a doctor and that the cost would be $160 to see the doctor, but it would not include a COVID test. So according to D'Amico, she is, really upset about this. She thinks that that is not right, and that she thinks that based on her symptoms, she needs a COVID test to know whether or not she has, COVID or not. She goes on and on and on about all of her symptoms, a sore, scratchy throat and a really harsh cough, and then that she was told that, she was not told to quarantine by Royal Caribbean, and that she says that she took it upon herself to quarantine, to almost quarantine, right? So she says, she specifically admits that she knows she doesn't feel good. She knows that she has all these symptoms. She knows that they have nothing to do with any pre-existing condition that she has, and that she does take it upon herself to quarantine, but not all the time. So here she is. She thinks she has COVID, or she, believes she has COVID, but yet she doesn't quarantine herself. She freely and openly admits that she's running around the ship exposing other people to, COVID if she has it. So I'm really, really upset about, this situation, because the mainstream media has really, really, really gone to the nth degree to really hammer this story about, the situation on the Symphony. But from what I can read, in my opinion, based on my understanding of, the statements by these two individuals, they did not take necessary steps on themselves, personal responsibility for what they believed and felt was the situation, which was that they had COVID or could potentially have COVID because they've been exposed, or symptoms that they were feeling and this and that. So they didn't take it upon themselves, but yet they want to blame the cruise line for this. And in my opinion, it's not the cruise line's fault. If you know you have COVID and you choose not to do what's necessary to deal with that, which is to keep yourself in your cabin and not go out under any circumstances for anything, not just, well, I won't go out as much, or I'll go out less. Hello? That is on you, in my opinion. So, and then that leads me to like the last, kind of sort of same situation on this, but this apparently was on the Odyssey. So the Odyssey set sail, and it, I believe, was at its first port, which was Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and the passenger in question specifically says that he knew he wasn't feeling good before he even got on the ship. I mean, like, come on. Are you kidding me? Like, you knew you weren't feeling good, but you got on that ship anyway, right? And then he goes on to say that he didn't think that the cruise line was handling the situation correctly. And we all have to do our part in this. And if we don't, in my opinion, we cannot be blaming the cruise lines. We can't be blaming the restaurants or any other thing, whether we're on a cruise ship or on land. We have to do our own part. Some people are doing their part, some people aren't. Some people are taking it serious and some people aren't. Some people, understand the seriousness of it, but they're just tired of it. Whatever the situation might be, we have to all do our own part. And if we're not, then we cannot blame anybody else for it. I think that's going to do it for today. today's video, so thank you very much for tuning in. And if you like this video, don't forget to click that like button. And then don't forget to click the subscribe button. It won't cost you anything. You click it once and you're done, and it'll really help our channel out a lot. And then don't forget to click the notification bell so that you know every time we upload a new video. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.